Alright, this is December 5, 1918, and what you're hearing downstairs is one of the pumps that I got working. Unfortunately, because we had a lot of snow, and then all that snow melted, and then we got a ton of rain, even my neighbors and some of the other people that I've talked to that haven't had water in their basement in 10 years or more, all of a sudden they start getting water in their basements as well. So I know it's just not just my house. But on a secondary note, I ended up having to purchase a pump for the inside of the house because my drain floor is clogged. And I didn't know that it was clogged because whenever I did have a little bit of seepage on the floor in the past, it always went down the drain and down and through, which I was like, okay, cool. So the first thing I did was I bought a vacuum cleaner, a 5-gallon vacuum cleaner. It was like, okay, this is only like, $50 or whatever. I'm like, okay, this is going to save me a lot of money. Well, long story short, it worked for its purpose and what it's doing and what it does, and that's great because now I have it for a backup for, I don't know, cleaning out the car or other emergencies like this again. If it happens again, then I need to suck up a lot of water real quick. So we have that. We got those two things there. The pump that I got outside is big enough to actually pump out the water from wherever it is where you got a little miniature pond in your backyard. Now you can suck all that water out. And that one cost me $299. Then I had to purchase also a hose to go with it, which was like I did just a cheap $20 hose because you don't need anything super fancy. I bought a power cord to go with that because I was like, well, if this is going to happen, I got power cords all over the place, but I want to have one that goes directly with the pump itself. Because if I'm going to use emergency funds, I might as well use it for that. So that's what I did. Now, the 6-foot lead hose that came with the first pump that I got, which is downstairs running, just FYI, with the pump that I got, and I'll show you guys later, the hose that it came with was kinked and bent, and when I went to go take a hammer to it or rubber mallet to open it up a little bit, it split it. So I had to go buy a couple of new leads, which they were about $10 a piece. Kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So that's exactly what I did. Now that pump cost me $130, $150, I think it was. So all in all, I spent probably close to $700, and I'm like, oh, I don't have $700. Well, here's the deal. I don't really have that much either, but because I had emergency funds, I was able to do that. And that's what you need to do as well. Have emergency stash of cash for that type of thing. So, now the second element is when you get a lot of rain, it's going to cause flooding in certain places, especially if you got basements. That's why my basement floor is not going to be anything but tile. Well, I might do tile. I may just seal the floor, or I may just leave it the way it is because there's no point in doing anything extra. Now, another thing too I was told is every so often you want to go outside and have your walls resealed from the outside. And he says it's real easy. You just do one wall at a time. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you to do this. But he said make sure you get a permit and do one wall at a time and reseal it. Now, I'm going to eventually get the walls replaced because I don't like them the way they're sitting because they're bowed in. You can anchor them and pull them out. You can replace them. You can do a whole bunch of other things. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and try to reseal it next year or this summer. Hopefully, if I get the chance to be able to do it. Maybe I'll be able to do it. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. But in the meantime, those are just a couple elements that I'm going to do myself. And this is just some peaceful advice for you. The second thing is make sure when you read the stuff on your pump that you're going to use, make sure you know how much hose to use, because I ended up having 2 mistakes yesterday with the first pump. One, the kinked hose, which didn't help it suck out much water either, so it was coming in faster than it was sucking it out. Now it's working just fine. The second thing is the other hose, which I ended up putting to the drain, I ended up grabbing my 100-foot hose. Nope. I looked at the directions again, and it said no more than 25 feet. I was like, Yikes. So I took another 6-inch lead plus one of my other hoses that I had, a vacuum hose for my other smaller, tinier vacuum that I've had for about a decade. I use it for cleaning, so it's, yeah. Anyways, so I took that and I hooked it all up, and it's going down into the drain the way it's supposed to, into the sump pump, and the sump pump's pumping it out. So I got that set up down there like that, so that way it's pumping out and making sure it's being caught up. Now, the new pump, the bigger pump that I have outside, here's the kicker. I'll show you in the video later. Same thing, you want to have a 6-inch lead, or excuse me, 6-foot lead, and then have your hoses attached, run the first 25 feet or 50 feet of hose, then bunch up the rest of it so that way you can get it all the way down to where it's got to go. And I'll show you how to do priming and all that stuff later in another video. But anyways, this is Semperfi 1918. Like, subscribe, and I'm out.